Okay. All right. It looks okay. I'm just checking here. Okay. All right. There we go. All right. I see that that my volume is okay. So I have to speak up a little bit. So I haven't gone live in a while. So I didn't just get home from work, but I got home from work a few hours ago. Um. So anyway, I thought hold on. Let me change something here. So, you know, the reason I wanted to go live is okay. First of all, to recap, the last video that I did was live, and that was because it was like 3 a.m. in the morning, my time. And if people remember, don't remember, I live by the Chicagoland area here in the USA, and I did a video because I saw the full moon outside in the night. And then I wanted out that if you want to recap on that and look at it, I think it was around 13 or 14 minutes, 12 minutes, something like that. And just to quickly recap, it talked a lot about I'm sorry, I talked a lot about the heliocentric model and how basically NASA and everyone has lied to us about that, about how far the moon is and how far the sun is. And I explained basically, I just anytime I see the full moon out there, I feel compelled to talk about it because I was lied to, or we have been lied to about this place and that we live in. And it's not, we don't live in a infinite universe, so to speak, where the moon is 249,000 miles away, and the sun is, what did they say, 93 million miles away. No, the sun and the moon are very local. This is a special place we live in, and embrace it. So I just wanted to recap real quick. If you want to watch it again, go ahead. But the title of my live is about relationships. So I want to talk about that for a little bit because um you know um at this new job that I have, you always meet I always meet, or everyone always meets new people. Okay, I'll start there. I'm going to try not to make this too long, but so when you go into a new job, you learn about other people's, where they're coming from, which means you're learning about other people's experiences and how they deal with happiness or stress. And I've had to deal with that, both of them. Okay, so that's in the workplace, right? So like when you're a kid, your parents, good parents, tell you, you know um don't talk to strangers, right? But eventually, when you become an adult, you have to, at some point, right? Or when you become a student in school, you have to talk to strangers, because then those strangers might become friends. So and I can talk about my own life forever, like since the day I was born, but I'm not going to do that. Not going to bore you guys with that, or anybody, because anybody can do that, right? But the thing is, the thing about it, and I can do it in many different ways, but like in the workplace, when I meet a stranger, you can tell right away, or I can tell right away if I can vibe with that person, or if I connect in some way with that person. And because you know why? Because of the communication level. Like, he hears me or she hears me, and I hear her or I hear him, and we start to have a dialogue. And we're like, yeah, I understand. And when you start saying I understand, or knowing that you understand, then your communication level goes up. and then you want to reconnect with that person, you're gonna be okay. Like, "Hey, what's up?" And you will remember their name. They're not a stranger anymore, right? And that's one level of relationship where you're like, "Hey," and now I sit at lunch with, like, one person in particular, and he's cool, man. He's just like, we just connected, like, at some point, we not right away, but reconnected, like, with communication. And then there's so many other people I connect with communication with so many other people. And the cool thing with me, for me, is I speak Spanish. Yo puedo hablar español. So when I speak Spanish, I connect with more people and I understand where they're coming from. So I break that language barrier from people that don't know Spanish, or I'm sorry, that don't know English, or don't know English that well. I'll say it that way. But they prefer Spanish, so I'm like, "Hey, I'm in." And so when you get to that level, then you start knowing your surroundings better. Um, and then you kind of know, excuse me, you know how to deviate from, excuse me, you know how to deviate from the good people and the bad people, so to speak. Like somebody, okay, I put it this way. Someone asked me earlier today, and it was kind of weird because it was towards the end of my shift, and I didn't really have anything to do, so I was trying to just clean up, throw trash away, or clean up whatever. I was trying to stay busy, right? And I was trying to take cardboard out of a trash can, which, that's not my job. That's not what I do, right? But again, there's cameras everywhere, so I'm like, hey, I'm trying to stay busy. My job is bigger than that. But somebody asked me, like, they know me. We spoke in Spanish, right? And he's like, "Hey, is that garbage can half empty or half full?" And I already told him it was half full. So that analogy alone shows you that my thought process, I just said I already, before he even asked me, I already said it was half full. So it's like, you go into a relationship, which is like, for me, a relationship is like, at this point, I'm telling you about work and about people at work. So if you go into it in a positive way, hopefully people who are negative don't kick that positivity out of your mind. That happens to everyone, including me, including, I'm telling you, I've talked to so many people at this place, and I'm very outspoken about a lot of things. And I've even had an argument with a top CEO manager. And it wasn't an argument, it was just like, I okay. He came over to our area, and I was me and two, three other people were putting things away, material, and they brought new carts out, and I'm just trying to explain to you real quick, to facilitate that that job, to for I work for an electrical company, so we're trying to facilitate cart to move material into shelves. And he comes over, and he's like, he's this, like, the CEO, and he's like, "Hey, I ordered these carts, so that you could have an easier time doing it." And I told him, because he asked, "Why are you taking these carts?" And it was kind of a weird question because he's the one that ordered them. And I said, and he basically started numbering the cards and said, You're eight, this is 89, 90, 91, whatever." And he was just trying to regulate all those carts that were moving out that were new. And I told him, and this is true, okay? This is very true. And everyone in that building knows it. People steal from other people all the time. So people who leave even just a stupid pen, a marker, um, a knife to cut, anything, your water. I mean, it's like people are crazy, like they steal stuff, carts. They steal whatever. If they see it, they'd steal it. And I told him, hey, you know what? Just to let, and told him very kindly, you know that I just want to let you know that people steal from people all the time around here. And he looked at me like he took it personal. He looked at me in my eyes and said, well, just don't steal from me. And I was looking at him like, I didn't say anything because I didn't want to get into, like, I didn't want to escalate. Obviously, he makes more money than me. He could fire me like this, right? If he wanted to. He doesn't know me, but he could say, who is this guy that said that to me? Because his ego is through the roof, even though he bought those carts for us, for the workers. What a freaking idiot. So, with that story, I want to say it still stays with relationships, and that's in the workplace. So, it doesn't matter what level you are, if you find a way to get those negative, when people go crazy on you like that, be who you are. If you're positive, stay positive, or find a way to let it out somehow. So that's in the workplace. In the real, in your personal life, that's different, right? Like relationships, it's not that much different actually. In personal life, you want to be able to communicate, right? You want to be able to share your thoughts and say, hey, this is who I am. Or you don't actually you don't actually start the conversation that way, but eventually, you connect in some way, and uh, with something, with through work or through someone else. I've been, um, what's it called when they try to match you, or a friend says, hey, I have a match for you, and I've had that like a few times and it never worked out. But like, I'll say it this way, like in real true relationships, when you truly when I this is my opinion. Now, if anyone here that listens to this video disagrees, it's cool, it's all right. But to me, it's like communication. And if you have like the way I talk, some people might not connect with me that way. And if I speak Spanish, like yo puedo hablar español, and I connect with a lot of Spanish speaking women or even men. I'm not gay, by the way, but I'm saying that I communicate with people in general because I can speak two languages. And I don't know if it's the way I look because of my light skin. It doesn't actually. I don't think that matters, but I think it might matter because I'm light skinned. So they connect. They look at that. I don't know. I guess what I'm trying to say is I think sometimes skin color can be a biased from people, which I disagree with, because I mean it's not for me. I see character. I see a person. I don't see color or anything. Asian, it doesn't matter. Anyway, so with a real relationship, um, it's good to like say this is be don't lie. I guess that's start with that, because some people start with like trying to be fake. No, don't be fake. Just like the example I just gave you with, I talked to it like a CEO, like he was a real, like he was just another human being. It sounded like he got offended by that. It seemed like he got offended by that. No, be real. If they don't accept you for who you are, get out. Don't try to impress somebody. Don't try to be somebody you're not. If you're a good okay, I'll say it this way. If you are a good or you intentionally try to be a good person, don't let anybody get in your way. It's that simple. I'll say it again. If you are a good person and you know you're people who are good people know they're good people or they try to be good. We're not perfect. I'm not perfect. I've made a lot of mistakes, but my intention is to be good, is to be like treat people the way I want to be treated. And I want to be treated well. So I treat people well by saying hi or whatever. It doesn't matter. If you treat people that way, hopefully you will they it will be the same way. It will be reciprocated. Not always. It won't always come that way, but if you do negative things, it's negative things are gonna come to you. I'm not trying to smile about it, but it's true. So yeah, so when you find that person, if you find a person, let's not okay, this is one of my mistakes. Now, if you find a person that sort of you connect with in some way, then follow it. Follow that person or stay with that person and be honest. Be honest with them because even if it hurts, to be honest, maybe that's the breaking point between both of you or between me and someone else. If it hurts, to be honest, because you didn't want to hear the truth or the other person didn't want to hear the truth about the reality of what's happening, then it's not meant to be. Okay? So be honest. I mean, that's the crazy thing. Like, I mean, I can explain it so many different ways, in so many different experiences that I've had in my life. And when I've like, for example, when you go out on a first date, you try to smile. You smile. You try to pretend to be somebody else. That's basically sometimes what it is. For me, if I go out on a date, right here, but I'll be cordial. I'll be nice. I'll say, "Hey, you want to go out to dinner or something?" And then we'll talk about it. We'll talk on the phone, and I could talk on the phone for a long time. Or I've had long conversations before I go out. I've gone out on a date, so we get to know each other. So we get a lot of the basic stuff out of the way. But then when we get on the date, we see each other, physically see each other. That can, the physical appearance is kind of important to a lot of people, even for me, right? So relationships are built on visual and like how you see the person in with your eyes, and if they're good looking, if they're the way you appear them to be, is good looking, or if it's just the personality or both, right? It's a great it's a great thing when you could find both, when you can find somebody that you okay, I say personality, but what I mean by that is when you find someone that you actually communicate well with, that you say you don't have to agree with everything, but if you can have a conversation for like 3 or 4 hours, and then you like forget about what time it is, then it's like wow. Then it's like damn, how long have we been talking? Because then you could talk about almost anything. And when you get to that point, like I have, then you found a special person. So to me, that's important. And you know what that means? You found a friend. You found a friend. And that's what good relationships are all about. You found being a friend first. And that's hard nowadays. And I'm 51 years old, and I know I look younger than my age. A lot of people tell me that, but I have gray hairs all over my head. See, I'm not afraid to show them. So I like hats not because I'm hiding my grays or anything like that. I have grays in my face. Anything. I like to wear hats. I have like 10 to 8, 10 different hats. But but I wanted to make this because it's Friday, and it's not just Friday, it's just any day. Let's call it any day. Um I wanted to just take a little bit of time to talk about relationships. If you are in a relationship, make sure that you communicate with that person, or you stay communication in that you stay communicated with them and let them know how you feel, um because and there's time, because it's good to let someone know, hey, I'm just calling to say hi. Now you don't want to, I'm not going to tell you how to do it, but you don't have to do it all the time. But sometimes just doing it once, it kind of lets the other person know that, hey, they're thinking about, or she or he is thinking about me, and that's cool. So um so that's it. I mean, the other thing I wanted to mention too, and because at this job, I've seen like women there, right? And I've seen women there, and I'm sorry. And I always like, no, I'm not looking to date right now, but I still observe, and I look at women who have rings on, or how they could. It's not that I'm like stalking them or anything. I just observe things like that, occasionally, every once in a while. And yeah, and the reason I do that is because there is a thought in my mind to date someone that I can actually, date, like, personally. Um but for me, like, there's physically women there. And I have talked to a couple of women that we sort of found some kind of friendship connection, but I'm not sure I'm ready to date physically like that. And they speak Spanish and English, so I have connected in some way like that. But again, I don't know anything about them, so I don't know. Because I've dated women that have officially gone through a divorce. Now, if they officially have gone through a divorce, then they can at least explain to me. We can have a conversation about that. But once I get to that point, because again, I'm 51. And first thing is, I want a friendship. Now, if I get to a point where I want to romantically be with a female, then I want to know at 51, I know that women in the mid 40s, late 40s, 50s, I know they've been through the whole thing with marriage and divorce and kids. So we're going to have that conversation. And that is a difficult conversation to have because I've had it before. Because you know why? That woman is going to want to make sure that her kids are okay with me. Unless she's a strong woman, if she's a very strong woman and says, this is a good man, he's kind, he's nice, he treats me well, and then, because I know kids, I've dated, women that are separated or have been through a divorce, and they just they let their kids dictate, like what kind of man, or not what kind of man is cool, but which man is right for, because the kid is, I hate to say use psychology, but the kid is still married to the mother. And that's psychology, because then he's not my father, so I can't I don't accept him. And that's difficult. And I understand that, but I don't want to be in that problem either. I don't want that kid, or that I don't want to ruin a relationship with a son and a mother, because the mother is, women who are good mothers are, that's beautiful. A lot of times you can't see that. You can't see that, how good women are to their kids. And if and a kid with their connection to their mother is so great, then hey, you know what? I don't want to touch that. So men my age, or it doesn't matter what age, if you have gone through this, what I've been through, hey, listen to me, man. I've been through it. I'm not saying I know everything, but at the same time, relationships, you kind of have to give and take, right? There's sometimes some things that, like being single for a long time, or single, um, once you get to know each other, it's good to say, hey, let's compromise. Let's I'll, like cooking. I like to cook, right? And so I guess cooking is like kind of like a good thing, because the women that I've met like to cook. So it's kind of cool. It's kind of cool because it's good to share. Like it's a good way of like being friends and saying, hey, let's cook together. And then one person does this or one person does that. And it'd be cool to meet someone that likes to cook, and then we can, like, hey, you dice this, you dice that, or you start the pan and boil, or whatever, or whatever, and we could share recipes or different seasonings and things like. And that's the cool thing about cooking, because it for me, like, a lot of men think that women should do the cooking. No, I like, you know what, I like to cook, and I know how to cook a little bit. So sharing a cooking experience with a date, or with someone that's a friend, that that I could, that I say is a friend, then I would love to share that experience. And the great thing about cooking is you can say, well, it needs a little bit more salt, or it needs a little. You can criticize a little bit and say, you know what, we can do it better this way or that way, and then try things out. And that's another good way of building a friendship or a relationship. So I thought about that, and that's cool. So I mean, you can always just talk on the phone, or you can go for a walk. I mean, it's so many different things. Um so anyway, I didn't want to take too long on this. I mean, I can talk about this for a long time, but I decided that I thought about this because of the new job that I have, that I've gone through, the ups and downs of relationships, of new people. And and I had to say, okay, I can't deal with this person, but I've had to accept it, because I have to work with this person. I have to make my money. I have to work, right? So I have to accept it to a certain point, right? But at some point, I've said, okay, I'll share a story with you. And I've shared this story with other people at work, and people know this. There's a guy, right? He can speak English, but he speaks it like kind of broken. Okay, but he's very, how do I say it? He's very flamboyant. Like he speaks like he wants everyone to hear. hear him. And one of the first days, weeks, whatever, not weeks. I've only been there for about a month, over a month. And one of the first days, he touches me on my shoulder. He's like, okay. He's like, hi, Rick. Okay, my real name, my full name is Ricardo, right? But people there know me as Rick because that's just, you know, my American, my nickname, right? And he's like, hi, Rick. And he touches me. He goes like this, hi, Rick. And it's like the first time I met this guy. I've never met somebody, a guy or a female, that touches my shoulder and goes, hi, Rick, or Ricky. He even called me Ricky. And I was like, what the? I'm sorry, but I was like, what the F? I let it go. First time I let it go. And then as he's passing by and doing his job, he's like, hola, Ricky. And he does it again. And I'm like, I start thinking this guy's gay, right? And I think I get weird vibes from this guy. And he does it again, and he does it again. He keeps doing it every time he sees me. So at some point, in front of other people, I told him, look, could you please stop touching me? Just like that. And he told me, he's like, oh, in Spanish, he said, it's a Mexican, es una tradición, it's una mexicana tradición, which means it's a Mexican tradition. And I was like, I don't see any other Mexicans touching me. And everyone around there started laughing. And there was like two or three other Mexicans there. And I was like, and that hopefully I thought he got the point, but he didn't. So I was trying to be indirect, but then I had to be direct. And I started telling people I think he's gay and I think he's coming after me. Like he likes the way I look, or I even made a joke and said he probably likes my ass, you know? And people started laughing. I'm like, no, he's not gay. But he's not married. So anyway, that still goes into the subject of relationships, is what I call this stream. Relationships, right? Be careful. I mean, and if anybody knows me, I'm very direct in the way I speak. Like, I make jokes, I make people laugh. I actually am very serious about my job when I start working and I understand the process, and I just try to get to know people, and I focus on the process, but I'm still a friendly guy, right? But when things like that happen, I have to draw a line. You have to draw a line. Say, nope, enough is enough, dude. You're not going to get this ass, because I only like things that are coming out, not coming in. No, I didn't say that, but I should have said that. Anyway, no, but it's crazy, man. So you gotta be careful. But with staying positive, before I end the live stream, um, people go through, like what I go through, but maybe in their own different way. And you just, like me, I get angry sometimes, right? But that's part of human nature, as far as I see, because I know that things go wrong sometimes, and I have to deal with it, right? But uh, if you're a positive person, or try to be a positive person, try to stay on that path. Try to stay on that path, because um, you don't, just like when people say, and it did happen to me earlier today, and somebody said, Is that garbage can half empty or half full?" And I before he even asked me, I said it's half full, and I even flexed my fist, and I was like, I told you before you asked me, it's half full, because I'm a positive person. And he started laughing. He knows me. He knows I'm a good guy. I help people whenever they need help. I'm like, hey, let's do it. So if you're a good person and you're a positive person, keep on that path. Okay. I'm gonna end it on that. So take care of yourself and people that you love, and mostly yourself. Anyway, have a great night. Have a great weekend, and hopefully I'll the next time I go live, I'll think of another subject to talk about. So anyway, feeling relaxed. I'm glad I went live and talked about this subject. This is a very important subject. So um, um, keep it in a positive light for yourself, and other people that you love. So take care. Have a great night.